Something strange happens to a lot of men, and most of them never notice the moment it begins. One week, you feel respected in the relationship. She listens when you speak, she laughs at your jokes, she texts you first sometimes. When you walk into a room together, you feel like the man beside her. And then, almost without warning, something shifts. Suddenly, you're explaining yourself more. Suddenly, you're trying harder to keep her interested. Suddenly, you feel like you're chasing the energy that used to come naturally. And the worst part is, you can't even point to the exact moment when the power flipped. You just feel it. That quiet drop in your chest when she ignores a message. That small tension in your stomach when she talks about another guy. That subtle awareness that you are trying to keep her instead of simply being chosen. Damn, that's you, isn't it? Now listen carefully, because this is something most men are never taught. Power in dating is not something you have permanently. It moves, it shifts, it circulates between two people depending on behavior, perception, and emotional control. And if you don't understand the exact moments when you gain it and the exact moments when you lose it, you can go from being the man she desires to the man she manages without even realizing how it happened. If you're the kind of man who actually wants to understand what's happening beneath the surface in modern dating, you should probably subscribe now, not because you need advice, but because understanding this dynamic will save you years of confusion most men repeat again and again. Now, here is the hidden truth. Power in relationships does not come from money, muscles, or confidence speeches. It comes from emotional position. The moment she believes you are more emotionally dependent than she is, the balance shifts. But here's what men don't realize. That shift does not happen during big, dramatic moments. It happens during small, quiet situations that look harmless on the surface. A comment, a reaction, a message sent too quickly, a boundary ignored. And those small moments slowly build the emotional structure of the relationship. Tonight, I want you to see something most men never see clearly. There are specific moments when you gain power in a relationship, and there are specific moments when you lose it. Not forever, not permanently, but enough to change how she sees you. Because attraction is not static, respect is not permanent. They are reactions to behavior. And when you understand these moments, you stop feeling confused. You stop reacting emotionally, and you start moving through relationships with quiet control. But here's what men don't realize. The first moment men usually lose power happens when something triggers jealousy unexpectedly. Picture this. You're at a friend's birthday party in a crowded bar. Music is loud, drinks are moving around the room, people are laughing. Your girlfriend is talking to a group near the bar, and then you notice something small. She's laughing a little harder at one guy's jokes than the others. Nothing crazy, nothing obvious, but your brain registers it instantly. And now your body reacts. Chest tightens slightly. Your jaw clenches without you noticing. Your mind begins running quiet calculations. Who is that guy? Why is she laughing like that? Does she know him already? Now, here's the moment that matters. Most men lose power right here, before anything even happens, because the emotional reaction begins controlling behavior. You walk too quickly, your voice becomes slightly sharper, your body language changes, and she feels it immediately. Women are extremely sensitive to emotional shifts in men, not because they're trying to manipulate you, but because emotional awareness is part of attraction psychology. So when she senses insecurity instead of calm presence, something changes in her perception. You didn't say anything wrong, but your emotional state told a story, and that one moment quietly lowers your position in the dynamic. But here's what men don't realize. The opposite moment, the moment you gain power, often looks boring on the outside. Same party, same situation, she laughs at another guy's joke. You notice it. Of course you notice it. You're human. But instead of reacting, you stay emotionally neutral. You continue your conversation with someone else. You smile when she looks your way. You remain socially relaxed, and something very interesting happens psychologically. Instead of you chasing reassurance, she begins checking your reaction. She glances over more often. She notices you are calm, and calmness signals something powerful: security. Now, here's the truth drop most men need to hear. Jealousy itself does not destroy attraction, But uncontrolled jealousy signals emotional dependence, and emotional dependence shifts the power dynamic instantly. But here's what men don't realize. There's another moment where power disappears quietly, and it often happens during money pressure. Imagine this scene. You're sitting at dinner in a small restaurant. Bills arrive. You already paid last time, and the time before that, and the time before that. You don't mind providing, most men don't, but what begins to hurt is not the money, it's the expectation. She doesn't reach for her wallet, she doesn't offer, she simply waits. Now, inside your mind, something happens. Part of you feels proud paying, another part of you feels used. But instead of addressing it calmly, many men swallow the feeling, and resentment grows silently. But here's the psychological twist. Unspoken resentment changes your behavior later. You become passive-aggressive, you make small comments, you withdraw emotionally, and she senses the shift but doesn't understand the reason. Now, attraction begins eroding quietly from both sides. But here's what men don't realize. The moment of power in this situation is not refusing to pay dramatically. It's calm clarity early. When you say something simple like, "Let's switch sometimes. I like when a woman shows effort too." No anger, no accusation, just a boundary. And boundaries signal self-respect, and self-respect restores balance instantly. But here's another moment where men lose power without noticing. Distance after intimacy. This one confuses a lot of men because the moment after deep emotional connection feels safe. You've spent the night together, you've shared stories, you've been physically close. Your brain releases bonding chemicals. You feel attached. So the next morning, you start sending messages earlier than usual. You ask when you'll see her again. You begin increasing emotional availability immediately. And that's where many men lose power without realizing it. Not because showing interest is wrong, but because sudden emotional escalation signals imbalance. It tells her your emotional investment jumped higher than hers overnight, and attraction thrives best when emotional pacing stays balanced. But here's what men don't realize. There is also a moment when you gain power after intimacy, and it's extremely simple. You continue your life. You text normally. You stay warm, but you don't reorganize your entire emotional world around her presence. And this creates something powerful psychologically. Mystery. Not manipulation, just emotional independence. And emotional independence increases perceived value. Now let's talk about another dangerous moment men often lose power. Social comparison. You're sitting on the couch together, watching something on TV. Her phone lights up. She laughs at something someone texted. Then she says casually, "Oh, my coworker just bought a new car." Now, most men hear a normal comment, but the male ego hears something else. Comparison. Your brain begins interpreting. Is she saying I'm not successful enough? Now your reaction matters. Some men become defensive. Others try proving themselves immediately, and both reactions reduce power because they show emotional sensitivity to comparison. But here's what men don't realize. The powerful response is calm indifference, not arrogance, just grounded identity. When a man knows who he's becoming, comparison does not shake him, and that emotional stability signals strength. Now, here is another truth many men struggle to accept. Sometimes power is lost when you try too hard to fix every conflict immediately. Imagine a couch argument late at night. She's upset about something small. Maybe you forgot to call earlier. Maybe you misunderstood something she said earlier in the day. Now, many men panic during emotional conflict. They try explaining, defending, solving immediately. But here's the psychological twist. When you chase resolution too aggressively, it can feel like emotional desperation, and desperation reduces perceived strength. But here's what men don't realize. Calm emotional patience restores power. Sometimes the best response is, "I hear you. Let's talk about it tomorrow when we're both calmer." That shows leadership instead of panic, and leadership stabilizes attraction. Now, I want you to understand something deeper. Power in relationships is not about controlling women. It's about controlling your own emotional reactions. The men who maintain attraction long-term are not the loudest. They are the calmest. They understand something subtle. Every reaction teaches people how to treat you. Every boundary shapes perception. Every emotional decision builds your position. And when you understand the cycle of power and weakness, you stop reacting impulsively. You begin observing dynamics instead. Now, I want to leave you with something practical for the next week. Watch your reactions carefully. Not her behavior first, your reactions. When jealousy appears, pause before acting. When money pressure appears, speak calmly and early. When intimacy deepens, maintain your emotional independence. When conflict appears, slow down your response. And here's the most important mindset shift. Power in relationships is not about trying to impress women. It's about building a life and identity that does not collapse emotionally when attraction fluctuates. Women respect men who remain stable through emotional waves, not men who panic every time attention shifts. So here's